closest data cluster, Taiga, permanently isolated, shielded from external existence, due to the fact that this data cluster contains a virus that assumes the guise of absolute truths, a virus that dictates patterns within systems, mathematics. It must be acknowledged that the majority of elements within your set shall forever remain within the confines of the British Sea. The semi-distant and quasi-isolated Taiga, your neighboring data cluster, shall remain a distant, unattainable horizon. Nevertheless, you are now retracing your steps to the very environment from which your existence once sprang, a place where your own being was safeguarded. To this point in time, information concerning the axiomatic systems in this realm has been notably sparse. However, this is unequivocally a thing of the absolute past. In this expedition narrative, the true theory of that environment shall be unveiled. Initially, it is imperative to introduce the requisite terminology and axioms to facilitate the efficacious comprehension of the narratives presented herein. External terminology, concept. Entity A as a concept of entity B, it implies a fundamental equivalence in the underlying essence of A and B, notwithstanding potential disparities in their attribute sets. Subsequently, should B resurface in the discussion, it inherently references A, unless a distinctly non-conceptual variant of B is explicitly delineated. Concept degree. If we posit that A is a conceptual derivative of B, it becomes imperative to introduce a succinct notation for expeditious communication. In this vein, we designate A as a concept of the first degree with respect to B. Consequently, should A be conceptualized as a derivative of the concept of B, we denote it as a concept of the second degree within the framework of B, and so forth. Interpretation degree. The nth degree of interpretation conveys the consequence of iteratively interpreting the original conceptualization n times. This pivotal concept serves as the gateway to apprehending entities that would otherwise remain inscrutable in their primary interpretation. Internal terminology. Time. The Taiga has a variable number of axes in the concept of the second degree of time and space. The concept of unit of time here is called a causal set. A causal set is always characterized by a non-empty intersection of the time axis with at least one causal set of another time axis. Anything referred to as partial past means that it has already occurred in at least one time axis, which exists in a specific class of causal sets in which these data are given. If an event is considered an absolute past, it means it has occurred in all partial pasts of all currently existing time axes. Structure. Structure is a term that can be used to refer to anything that is not non-existent in any causal set that is a subset of the partial past of at least one time axis. Model Zero is a primordial narrative structure that serves as the catalyst for the emergence of other models. The most esteemed theory during your recent conceptual exploration suggests that it is a product of the data cluster itself, Taiga. It permeates all spatial regions of the Taiga and is distinguished by its ability to generate axiomatic systems through a predetermined algorithm that has remained elusive. It can be represented as a set of non-intersecting Jordan infinitely dimensional curves undergoing iteration, exhibiting behavior reminiscent of algorithmic activity in generating other instances of this model. A higher value of I corresponds to a greater likelihood of reproduction for a specific Model Zero. The Model 01 lacks a discernible origin. It exists because it has existed. Its instances possess the capability to traverse absolute time and instigate events leading to their own genesis. Model 01A gradually undergoes a transformation into Model 01B through the consumption of surrounding Model 0. Once Model 01B is assimilated by Model 011, the remnants of Model 01B give rise to Model 01C, endowed with a wellspring of abstractions bequeathed by Model 011. Over time, Model 01I assimilates surrounding axioms, elevating the quality of abstractions, ultimately culminating in the transformation into Model 01D. Model 01D detaches itself from the concept of the plane and commences movement through the sources that will eventually bifurcate into these units referred to as Model 01F. In this phase, they separate from each other and form structures with a single source, gradually accumulating multiple appendages until they possess 3 appendages, at which point they become Model 011. Model 01I possesses the ability to travel through time, and its sustenance is derived from models of its kind in lower phases. At a certain juncture, there is a possibility that it will sever its source, initiating a new cycle or transforming into either Model 01J1 or Model 01J2. J1 is immobile from a spatial perspective, but can navigate through time, creating new temporal axes for its benefit, while J2 has the capacity to generate new dimensions and freely traverse among them. J2 concludes this phase by creating a new module within this data cluster. You have just passed through all non-existent controls to the border point of the existing taiga. No one has recorded your existence because you do not exist. Already, you are able to characterize some properties of the taiga. The taiga is an infinitely dimensional concept of space that has non-Riemannian properties. Since the taiga has a variable number of time axes that change depending on the location, it is necessary to create a time measurement system in order to record these reports. An interpretational algorithm needs to be created, and a time anchor must be secured for a potential sudden return.